What's going on, everybody? This is Cole from Willow Lights, here doing a quick behind the scenes tour. You'll have to forgive me, this is my first one, probably not going to be very good. Let's go ahead and get right into it. This here is the laptop that I use to run the show. Here, out of, I believe it's COM5 on my computer, I have the Light-O-Rama RS45 adapter coming out of here. Power, and then here I have a splitter. Sometimes I have speakers that I'll put out here for people that want to watch the show out and just stand there. And then this goes to the FM transmitter right here. I've had this transmitter for, I believe, about 5 years now. Done me very well. It gets very good range. I have a fairly big neighborhood. I can get the radio pretty much anywhere around the neighborhood that I choose. There's been a couple years where I'll take an antenna out and stick it up on the roof here, but I haven't really needed that at all, especially with having this new shelf in here. Just sticking it right there and sticking the antenna out, it's worked fantastic. There's a security camera set up here for me that I've got. Start over on the side yard here. This is my 12-foot Santa. Right now he's the oldest inflatable that I have in the display. He's not on right now. He'll be on starting here in a few minutes. And then this here, the Snoopy countdown. He's not working very well. This might be his last year, but definitely one of the oldest pieces I have. I have not put him out here in a few years, but you know, had to put him out this year. I really went all out. We can look up at the house here. I have 2 wreaths right there. Each wreath has 800 lights on it, red, white, green, and blue. And then moving, I don't know if you'll be able to see here, I have the snowflakes. Let me get a better angle. I have the snowflakes going across the entire roof. I have 16 of those. They're just the Boscoyo Coro plastic, but made for AC lights instead of pixels. And then I have these, I cover the house in lights. I have about 5,000 lights going up and down, you can kind of see here. So what I'll do, on the first story here on the brick, I have these 1x2 frames that I built for each section of the house to very easily, you know, take them down, and I can just staple into these. You can see staples everywhere here, and just section it off by channel. I have 6 channels going across the roof, so it's been fantastic. I have that going all across the roof. New addition here, I have these 10-watt floods that I got. They're the Light-O-Rama pack with the controller that I have sitting right over there. They've been fantastic. I have all 8 of them up. I had them up for Halloween as well. Just standing right out at the crowd and right out at the cars. It's great blinding effect for hard hits on the songs. On to one of the big main attractions here. Let me see if I can get a quick full shot of it. I've got about 22 foot mega tree here. Got a couple thousand lights on it. Go up close here. You can see here I have red, white, and multi coming down on each strand. There's 16 strands coming down, and then 2 controller boxes sitting back here that run the mega tree, more of the mega tree, and then some other stuff around the yard. But the pole here is actually exhaust pipe. There's about 2.5 pieces that go all the way up to the top with a welded hook head that a buddy of mine made for me. And he also, let me see if I can get back and zoom out here. He has they put a star up on there. Didn't come with lights, but I went ahead and zip tied on just as if it was a wireframe, just to light that up, and it actually has its own channel. Last year it was about 17 feet, and actually with the exhaust pipe it didn't need guy wires because the wire is very strong. I actually had it fall down the previous year, or year before last actually, but this year, since I went a little higher, I just used this metal wire, and I have a little It's another welded kind of brace thing there with 3 hook heads on it that I just tie the wire to, come down to some rebar there. And fallen toy soldier, I've had problems with him all season. And going to school here in San Antonio and coming back, actually I'm in Round Rock right now. I go to school in San Antonio, which is about an hour and a half away. Every time I come home, I find him like that, which, you know, with a light show, it happens. These reindeer here, me and my girlfriend actually made this year. I have 4 of them around the yard. These are all handmade, hand cut out, hand painted. They were supposed to be used to hold controllers. You can actually see here on the back, I put some 2x4 supports on there. 1, so they won't bend, and 2, so I can mount the Light-O-Rama controllers to them. But this one didn't get one. I had them all already separated out, so they were all good to go. And moving on here, I have actually 4 of these candy canes here. I'm in the process of putting new lights on them. These are real old. I couldn't tell you how old they are because I'm not the original owner. A buddy in the neighborhood, Kevin Jones, actually had all 4 of these. You can see another one right around here where that fallen tree is. He had them for several years. He did a light show out in Tyler, and now he lives out here in the neighborhood, and about 4 or 5 years ago he handed them off to me. So they've been a great addition. They don't flash. Everything that's on right now is all static. The light show hasn't turned on yet. It turns on at 5:45 local time here, which is about 9 more minutes. Moving on, I have all these artificial trees here. They're just trees I've collected over the years. They range anywhere from 10 feet, which is the largest one, to these little 3-footers here that I got after Christmas last year. And I just stake them up all around here, make a little tree forest, and then have the Griswold car inflatable driving out of the car or the tree lot here. And let's see, what else do I have here? I've got another toy soldier there, and then this is brand new this year. A big old, I believe it's 8.5 feet wide fan. This has been a huge hit this year. In previous years I've had 2 smaller 6-channel fans that I stick over there, and they were only maybe about 1.5 feet tall. But the problem was they would just get lost in everything else that I have. So I went ahead, disassembled them, and made this big one. It's 16 channels, and all it is here is PVC pipe that I painted black with a T at the top. And then let me see if I can get behind here. And then at the bottom here is a 2x4 going across that I just have PVC U brackets holding this down so it holds that arch. It's not perfect. I wasn't able to get it perfect, but I did the best that I could. And then coming down here, you won't be able to see it because it's completely covered in lights. But this little 1x2 right there, if the camera will focus, little piece of 1x2 there, you can hardly see it. Right about there, there's a 6-inch bolt that I have going through the back of that comes out to the front, and oh, there it is. And I would start on one end, bring it, wrap it around the bolt, go back, and I did, I believe, three lines for each channel. It's alternating red, green, red, green, red, green all the way across. And I think I messed up the measurement, so in the middle there's 4. But yeah, it's been fantastic for me this year. And I also have this metal wire in the middle to pull it down a bit, because when I first did it, the PVC was really wanting to come up and bend a little more than I wanted it to at the top, turning it more into an Easter egg. So I put that wire in there and tied it to the bolt at the bottom, and it's kept that hold for me, and it's been fantastic for me this year. Also new this year is I have a custom made yard outline everywhere, each yard, staking out the entire yard, which I've never done before, but I really have come to love. You can see it going all the way back there. This is just, all it is just bulk wire, bulk C9 wire, and I went ahead, I measured out the yard and custom cut it to the exact measurements of each part that I wanted to go in. And then I had some extras, so I decided to do these front parts here and just screwed in every bulb. I alternate green and white on this side and in the front on the main side, and then red and white here and red and white over there. I went ahead and I did the warm white with these. I feel like with the yard outlines it's a little more classic kind of feel, so I went with the warm white so it's not as in your face. But I mean, those things, they're some of the brightest C9 lights I've ever found, and they have been fantastic. When it's just them on, it lights up. You can see it light up my house, it lights up the neighbors, it's fantastic. Alright, so let's see, middle here, here's a better shot of all the snowflakes going across the roof. Like I said, 16 of those, I believe 70 mini lights in each one. There's an airplane going over now. These driveway arches, these are fun. There's, I believe, 300 lights on each arch, each one on its own channel. Actually, it's on the 6 channels that I have lined up across the roof, mirror from the first arch this way, so they're both on the same channel. This is just 3 pieces of 10-foot PVC. You can see one of the couplers right there, with another a support so they don't sway, that's tied to the house right there. I'm sorry for the unfocused picture, but yeah, it's tied to the house and then it's zip tied to each arch coming across and just hangs out. That way it keeps them from going side to side and back and forth, so they really do stay in place. The arches come 6 foot off the house, and then in between each arch is 4 feet all the way to here. But the problem is, I have the side yard here is longer than the main yard actually is, so there's this huge space right here, which is really why I put all that there, and then just a little space here. But it works out. I think it's a fantastic spacing. I don't really want to go any closer, nor do I want to go any wider with them, so I'm thinking they're probably going to stay the same next year. And I believe I have planned to go on their own channels, and the house will be separate next year, hopefully, if everything works out. And then also you'll see here I have these little icicles coming off. These are just, Walmart sold them Christmas of 2019, I believe. They're just the little strobe icicle lights. They work alright for what I got them for. I notice you can't really see well. I know you're not going to be able to. Actually, here I have a bunch of the commercial grade 5mm strobes. But here, and the thing is, like I was saying, with the commercial grade ones, you flip them on with the controller, they immediately start strobing. But with these, they'll kind of flash once or twice before they actually start doing their strobing. Which, if you're not looking for it, you don't notice. But someone like me, or you probably watching this video that wants to get into something like this, will definitely notice it. But like I said, it's not that big of a deal. It works perfect for what I needed it to. I might end up putting them across the house next year, I'm not sure, but my mom and my girlfriend really like them across the driveway arches here, so as most of you know, they're probably going to stay there. Moving on, here we have the donation sign. This is getting revamped next year. We're going to have an actual sign made, not just paper and stuff. I'll put these links in the description as well, but if you would like to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, those are the handles for you. And then I just have some lights wrapped around this, and then the donation box with the PayPal QR code for the Helping Hands Basset Rescue. I've been rescuing, or not rescuing, but fostering and helping foster bassets for them since I was a kid. My aunt used to do it. I would go to her house after school, help with the dogs, help with puppies, do whatever I could. So now that I'm older, I'm 19 now, I'm doing this show, so many people come through and see it, so I figured let's do some donations. And this year I believed I've raised around $550, which puts my total for the 3 or 4 years I've been doing donations up to around, I believe, $1,100 or $1,200 total for the Bassets. And oh, there the lights go. But this is for my neighborhood. I won the tech award here. I've heard that the vote was unanimous, and if it's not, I'm going to find whoever didn't vote for it. And I had to put two. Usually I just have one Tune 2 sign right there next to the donation box, but this year I had lines going down the street and around on both sides. So I decided that's actually my Halloween Tune 2 sign, since you can see it's not very Christmassy. So I went ahead and put that out with spotlights on either side, just so more people could get the radio for it. And moving on here, pretty main thing here, I have 4 leaping arches. Pretty common, 8 channels each. These are all incandescent white. These are actually the only incandescent lights that I have flashing in the show, which after they come down this year, they're going to be all revamped to warm white. So they'll have a little bit different look next year, but they're all individually controlled. There's 2 Light-O-Rama boxes here. I can show you. On Rudolph here, I actually have one LED C9 bulb attached for his nose that stays on 24/7. It's been on since before Thanksgiving. And then 2 LOR controllers here. You can see all the extension cords coming in and all the leaves coming in. And then I have 4 of these little, I think they call them starlight spheres. I have 2 white ones and a red one and a blue one that I used to put up in the trees, but the trees got trimmed. They used to be way lower. I could reach them just standing on the ground, but now they got trimmed back and canopied, so I cannot reach up there. And even if I could, they wouldn't be seen very well. So I went ahead and just stuck them on the arch here. They really do serve their purpose. They're good. These 1, 2, and 1 and 2 are on their own channels. They're the very first 2 channels I have, so they work. I'm thinking of trying to do something next year, maybe sticking them on top of the fire sticks here in the front. I'm not completely positive yet, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. Again, this and this yard outline, you can see my new 12-foot snowman has absolutely crushed those over there. Here I have 6 of these fire sticks, 3 multicolor and 3 warm white right there. Like I said, 8 channels, 100 lights per section, and all 6 fire sticks mirror each other around the yard. Next year I'm thinking of only doing 4, and the multicolor ones, for whatever reason when I was making them, I made them bigger than the warm white ones. So I'm going to do the same size multicolor, probably just 4 in the front instead of those. So I have 1 and 2, if you can see that in the back. It really just makes it more of a pain to run the extension cords for it. Actually, speaking of which, I can go ahead and show you this. While I'm here, it's one big ol', I used over 500 feet of SBT1 wire, 8 different wires running. It starts at that fire stick there, down and to this fire stick, across to that one, and then all the way to the controller, which is back there. In previous years, I've really dreaded doing the fire sticks just because of how I have to hook them up, and it's really just, it's terrible. But this year I really went ahead and simplified it, which was great, and made it way easier, and it's going to make it easier in the years to come. Go ahead and move on here. I have 2 of these 14-foot mega trees in the yard. I did blue and white last year and red and green last year. I was overruled by the girlfriend this year to go red and white and blue and green, so that's what I did. And all this is here is one of the portable holes. I am not completely positive the original maker of these, but I will put the link in the description. All it is some, I believe, 2x4, 2x6. I don't think it really matters. Two boards. You just make a box. You don't put a bottom on it. You can throw some rebar in there, and then you'll have a floor flange, I believe, with an extender that comes out to right there. You can see the coupler that you just screw this metal pipe into. And I believe this is a 4-foot piece with a 10-foot piece going up. And then at the very top, you probably won't be able to see it as I'm tangled up in the tree here. It's all attached to another floor flange that why will this thing not focus? Wow, okay, anyways, it's all attached to a floor flange that I have 16 different holes screwed into. And it's worked real well. The only problem is it's seemingly every year I want to put them somewhere where there's a branch, so they have to be moved. But that's really not that big of an issue when you think about what you could be doing. But these portable holes have been fantastic. They're real heavy, which really isn't that big of an issue if you have a dolly. But you just drive the rebar in there, and those eye hooks there, you hook those turnbuckles too. And we've had some of the strongest winds last year and this year that we've ever had during the Christmas display, and these things do not budge at all. There's not a single guy wire on it, just the portable hole and the lights, and they've been fantastic. Moving on here, as the giant truck drives by, we have these cool white little, I call them droppy downy thingies, up in the tree. I had this idea. I don't really know how I got the idea or where I got the idea from, but that's kind of what happens in this hobby. All they are just 50 count LED Walmart strands that are folded to different lengths and zip tied to branches. And I had them up for Halloween, and I used them for a lightning effect, which was fantastic because for Halloween I had a big old, I have the videos, I just haven't posted them yet. Hopefully I'll post them soon, of the big 10.5 foot Home Depot Oogie Boogie. So when I played the Oogie Boogie song, if all this was strobing around it, it looked amazing. Moving on, I guess we can go to the tree trunks next. These are new to me. Obviously I've always wrapped the trees. Last year I wrapped them up about the same height with red and white, but the thing was they were all just one, you plug it in, the entire tree turns on. This year I went ahead and there is 16 channels on each tree. They're sectioned off. I went 14 feet up in the tree, divided it by 8, which I think came out to about 1.9 feet, if that's right. If not, mathematicians will get on me for sure. It's just a strand of blue, a strand of white, sectioned off, separate strand of blue, strand of white, so on and so forth, all the way up. And running, both of the trees are mirrored, so they're only taking up 16 channels, running to box number 9 right there, and you can see all of the cords that I have running here for these. It's not pretty on the back, but you know, if someone's looking at your display from the driveway or from your front door, you probably need to get them off the property. So that's that. Again, this tree 8 channels up and chases up and down. I can control each color in each place individually, which has been phenomenal. It's a huge hit this year. I have 8 of these tomato cage trees. Alright, so as I was saying before the camera stopped recording once again, I have 8 of these mini trees. I have different size. Red is the smallest. I have red and red there. And then blue, white, or blue, green, white. White is the tallest one. These are getting completely overhauled next year. And if you don't see the blue turning on, that's because there's a bad extension cord somewhere that I need to find, so don't mind that. I have these mirroring each other, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get a little sweeping action across the yard. Usually I put these very sporadically out across the yard, but this year I kind of wanted to put them in a line, give it a little bit of formality here, and I really enjoyed it. But next year, these are getting completely overhauled. I'm going to still have 8, but there's going to be all the same size. I'm thinking probably this size, and there's going to be, they're going to chase up and down with red and white. I might make a project video on that. I'm not completely sure, but we'll find out when we get there. I have 3 of these artificial trees here. Nothing special about them, just multicolor and white. I couldn't tell you how many lights are on these trees because I wrapped more right before I did my news interview, so I kind of lost count. I have 1, 2, 3 that all do the same thing. They're all hooked up to the same channels. And oh, while I'm on the tomato cage trees here, so I have, like I said, I have red, blue, green, white. They do the same thing as the red, white, green, and blue on each of the 3 wreaths that I have there. So they all do the same thing, but they're so far apart, unless you're looking for it, you don't really notice it. Moving on, I have another one of these reindeer here that is holding yet another Light-O-Rama controller. I don't think I've mentioned yet that I have 11 AC Light-O-Rama controllers, and then I have 2 of these 50 watt, I don't remember the exact term that they're called, 50 watt Light-O-Rama RGB lights, and then obviously the CMB 24D is hiding over there. I also forgot to mention these RGB lights are probably going to stay up all year. I just need to find a better way to run the wiring, so my mom doesn't get mad at me. Here, this is new to me this year. This is a 12-foot snowman inflatable. I love inflatables. I've always used inflatables. I used to have, before I did a light show, I had, I believe, 8 or 10 inflatables out, which for my yard is pretty impressive. And then for Christmas, or for Halloween rather, I believe I had 12 out this year. But no, they're on. Santa has a hole in him, so he's not inflating all the way, so don't mind that. But that's a 12-foot snowman with the 2-pack of home, or I believe it was Lowe's actually that carried them. The 2-pack of inflatable trees. That one right there died. Gonna have to look into that. But if you don't see those next year, then they're probably didn't make it out of this year. But yes, 11 controllers. Off the top of my head, I know the number, but I couldn't tell you how many channels that is. And you can actually see, I don't know if I'm actually going to get on the roof in this video, but there's another Light-O-Rama controller sitting up on the roof there that runs the snowflakes and the 4 colors going all around the roof. But I'll stay on the ground here. I have a tree line here inspired by a couple different people. Obviously Richard Holdman was the big one, but John Storms here, who's local, does a tree line. He used to do it with normal lights, but now he does pixels with the twig trees. And I actually had the twig trees. They're all sitting in the shed in the back, but they were such a pain to put up and such a pain to take down and wrap with the lights. I just went ahead, bought all these 6-foot artificial trees last year after Christmas at Walmart for about 10 bucks a pop. And there is 250 red, 250 warm white on each one. And I zip tied the red and the white to where they're just one strand, so I'm not wrapping 2 colors every year, and labeled each plug. So really easy to set up, take down, and I really do love it. You can see here, as I accidentally tilt the camera, that's a real nice effect. And then those have their own controller box sitting right back there. I try to hide the controllers as much as possible. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there isn't really one visible unless you're looking for it this year. In previous years, the only ones that have been really visible were the ones sitting under the mega tree over there, because I didn't have the present under there. I just had them up on basically a makeshift homemade controller stand with a 2x4 and a couple stakes. Anyways, I have more of the 5mm strobes going across. Actually, I didn't talk about these. I have them going across the tree line. I have them wrapped on the pillar there, and on each of these artificial trees I have, I think, a strand of 25, And then you can see here I have them interlaced in the yard outline from about there-ish all the way around, and same thing on the other side. Those things, I love them. They're fantastic. If they weren't so expensive, I would have more of those than I have lights on the house. And I used to, like I said, before the trees were trimmed, I used to put them up in the tree, which I really love the effect of putting lights in the tree, just because, you know, everything's on the ground, and if there's something up in the air that people can look at, I don't know, personally for me, it looks real good, and it's super cool when you can look up in the air and see more lights. But like I said, trees got trimmed, can't do that anymore. So moving on here, we have, I guess I'll get to the house here. I've covered pretty much everything in the yard, I believe. So as I said, going across and outlining the entire house, I have red, white, blue, and multicolor, all on their own channel, going across. I use the mini lights on the gutter and the edge of the roof up there. And then if I come around here, you can see I have some more of the custom made C9 bulbs there, and I'm really sorry that the camera is not focusing, but you kind of get the idea. You can see that they're bigger. Like I said, they're custom cut, so they fit that little ridge line perfectly, top and bottom, and they're all zip tied together, so they're super easy to put up. And I have the first story up to that corner there, and these C9 bulbs all on their own 4 channels, and then the top there, and then the ridge top coming all the way across on their own 4. So that takes up 8 channels. And then I have 16 snowflakes, but each one's paired up, so 16 snowflakes, 8 channels. It works out real well. And I outlined the garage door here in rope light, and the window there in rope light. And I have not found any green rope light for the door there. Not to lie, I have, but it's real expensive and I don't want to pay for it. So that's not there yet. You can see everything kind of going off here. But that will pretty much wrap it up. If you have any other questions, please comment down below. I will try to make sure to remember and turn the comments on for this video. And thank you. Hope y'all had a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.